دون نهيك منزجرا. أنت المدعو للمهمات، وأنت المفزع في الملمات، لا يندفع منها إلا للمهمات، ولا ينكشف منها إلا ما كشف. وقد نزل بي يا رب ما قد تكادني ثقله، ولم بي ما قد بهذني حمله. وبقدرتك أوردته علي، وبسلطانك وجهته إلي. فلا مصدر لما أورد، ولا صارف لما وجهت، ولا فاتح لما أغلقت، ولا مغلق لما فتحت، ولا ميسر لما يسرت، ولا ناصر لمن خذلت. فصل على محمد وآله، وافتح لي يا رب باب الفرج بطولك، واكسر عني سلطان الهم بحولك، وانني حسن فقد ذقت لما نزل بي يا رب ذرا، وامتلأت بحمل ما حدث علي هما. وأنت القادر على كشف ما منيت به، ودفع ما وقعت فيه. فافعل بي ذلك وإن لم نستوجبه منك يا ذا العرش العظيم.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. إلهي عظم البلاء وبرح الخفاء، وانكشف الغطاء، وانقطع الرجاء، وضاقت الأرض ومنعت السماء، وأنت المستعان، وإليك المشتكى، وعليك المعول في الشدة والرخاء. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد، أولي الأمر الذين فرضت علينا طاعتهم، وعرفتنا بذلك منزلتهم. ففرج عنا بحق يا محمد
بسم الله
يا
الرحمن
علي يا علي يا محمد اكفياني فإنكما كافيان وانصراني فإنكما ناصران يا مولانا يا صاحب الزمان الغوث 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 أدركني 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 الساعة 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 العجلة 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 يا أرحم الراحمين بحق محمد وآل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الخلق وأعز المرسلين حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين، سيما بقية الله روحي وأرواح العالمين له فداء. قال الله الحكيم في محكم كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون، ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم ألا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وأن اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم. ولقد أضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تعقلون. هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون، اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون. آمنا بالله، صدق الله العلي العظيم. ومنين ومنات brothers and sisters, السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Continuing in the tafsir of Surah Yasin, we are up to Ayah 59. Quick summary. The ayah started with addressing Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam and swearing by the Quran wal Quran al-Hakim that you are amongst the messengers and they all on the straight path, ala siratin mustaqim. This is one of the proofs of the infallibility of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells him that this book is a revelation from the wise and the mighty, the wise, Tanzil al-Aziz al-Hakim, to warn the people. لِتُنذِرَ قَوْمًا مَا أُنذِرَ آبَاؤُهُمْ فَهُمْ غَافِلُونَ. To warn the people. This warner, the warnings in the Quran is regarding the hereafter. Yes, consequences of our actions could be serious in this dunya, but the seriousness and the severity of the consequences will be clear in the hereafter. In this life, we may face some of the consequences which may be serious difficulties or problems that people go through in dunya. Nonetheless, the real reward or punishment of one's actions is in the hereafter. And there people in regards to that are the major two parties that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the surah describes. So some who accept the warnings and accept the message and accept the warner from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the messenger, and therefore they not only they themselves do the right thing, but they also try and guide others. This is important to reflect on. And then some who do not pay heed to it and they live their lives as if this is the final stage of their existence, that we live in dunya and we die, and وَمَا نَحْنُ بِمَبْعُوثِينَ, as some of them claim or suggest that, and some live like that. Some may not say that, but they live like that. Practically, they live as if this is the final abode, this is the final life or stage of their existence. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives the example, Ashab al-Qarya, the people of the city, and how they denied the messengers. Eventually, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent to them, there were two messengers. Eventually, a third was brought. They still denied. And a man from their own came to them, rushing, accepted, declared his belief. He was eventually killed by them. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to him, enter the paradise or the garden. قِيلَ ادْخُلِ الْجَنَّةِ. Then some proofs are given of resurrection and some dialogue between the believers and the non-believers. وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ أَنفِقُوا, when it said to them spend, they said, well, God can give those whom He wants to give. When it said to them believe, they said, should we believe like the certain group of people that they ridicule often? Often they are the elite, they are the rich, and they look at the believers and they accuse them of being believing because they are not so fortunate in this dunya and so on. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after describing the state of the believers in the hereafter and the salam, the ultimate beauty and peace that they will be in, salam qawlan min Rabbir Rahim, we come to the ayat that we're in, a reminder for the people, another warning for them. وَامْتَازُوا الْيَوْمَ أَيُّهَا الْمُجْرِمُونَ. The criminal ones, now you will be distinguished and you will be brought out. Imtiyaz is when there's some dividing or some criteria that some are taken out and separated from the rest of the group. Here, the imtiyaz that they will have is that they will be separated from the believers. وَامْتَازُوا الْيَوْمَ أَيُّهَا الْمُجْرِمُونَ. On the day of judgment, they will be separated. Yes, in this dunya, you live amongst them. We breathe the good and the bad, the righteous and the sinner. The sun shines on the righteous and the sinner. We discussed that in the dua of Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullah wa salamu alayhi, and the hadith of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. In fact, the sun shines on the righteous and the sinner. The air is given to all. The water is given for all. Yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives it to the believers and the rest share it with them. This is what Quran declares, that the zina that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought out in dunya, it belongs to the believers, however the rest share it with them. In akhirah, it becomes all the beauty, all the good things become exclusively for the believers. خالصة يوم القيامة. They are exclusive for the believers. In this dunya, the ones who are the sinners, they may enjoy all the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provided along with the believers. In akhirah, imtiyaz will happen. وَامْتَازُوا الْيَوْمَ أَيُّهَا الْمُجْرِمُونَ. Take these guys out, take the criminals out. They don't deserve to be amongst, even being around the believers, the righteous. In this dunya we live, even the worst hypocrites lived with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, around him, benefited from the fact that his presence brings peace. His presence repels the punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There were, Ibn Abbas, he says, there are two things, and he actually, it's based on the ayah. He tells the ummah, and it is clear in the ayah, based on when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ مُعَذِّبَهُمْ وَأَنْتَ فِيهِمْ. God will not punish them as long as you're amongst them. وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ مُعَذِّبَهُمْ وَهُمْ يَسْتَغْفِرُونَ. As long as they are seeking forgiveness. At the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought peace and removed any kind of punishment from the ummah because of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. After him, it is our responsibility to keep the peace and to remove any kind of punishment by what? By istighfar. وَهُمْ يَسْتَغْفِرُونَ. Seeking forgiveness. We slip, we seek forgiveness. Not that the ummah starts going, or the people start sinning and forgetting even to return. That is when they deserve certain punishments from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether it be a disease or a sickness, a pandemic that is happening now. وَالْعَيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. We seek refuge to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we seek His forgiveness. All of us, we should seek His forgiveness. The Prophet was mercy. He was the mercy. He's a mercy to the worlds, but he was a special mercy for the people and for his time. Even the hypocrites were benefiting from that. However, in Akhirah, that is not going to be the case. وَامْتَازُوا الْيَوْمَ أَيُّهَا الْمُجْرِمُونَ. They will be taken and separated, all the criminal ones, and the addressing of them is a warning in itself, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing them as the criminals. أَيُّهَا الْمُجْرِمُونَ. Then he says, أَلَمْ أَحَدْ إِلَيْكُمْ. There is no dhulm. In the ayat, the prior ayat that we recited, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly said that He does not oppress. There is no oppression in the realm of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In this dunya, people oppress each other. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not oppressive to His people. He declares that in the Quran. And in this surah, He says, فَالْيَوْمَ لَا تُظْلَمُ نَفْسٌ شَيْئًا وَلَا تُجْزَوْنَ إِلَّا مَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ. There is no dhulm, there is no oppression, not even a tiny bit of oppression. Therefore, وَامْتَازُوا الْيَوْمَ, separate the mujrimeen. It is because of their own actions after they had been warned. This is important. In fact, this is a proof of the hujjah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that has to be always there on earth, that He declares it in the Holy Quran, لِأَلَّا يَكُونَ النَّاسَ عَلَى اللَّهِ حُجَّةٌ بَعْدَ الرُّسُلِ, that people will not have an excuse, that there has been a warner. At every given time there was a warner, there was a hujjah, there was a reminder, the prophets are necessary because of that. There is no dhulm. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the Day of Judgment will tell the people, you were warned, you were reminded. And in fact, this ayah, ayah 60, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds the people of a covenant or a deal that was made with all humanity prior to the physical existence. He says, أَلَمْ أَعْهَدْ إِلَيْكُمْ يَا بَنِي آدَمَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا الشَّيْطَانَ. إِنَّهُ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌ مُبِينٌ. Did I not make it a covenant, a deal with you? Did I not remind you, O children of Adam, that you do not worship Shaitan? He is clearly your enemy, or he is your clear enemy. This, besides the fact that the prophets keep on reminding us that Shaitan is our enemy, this covenant that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding us is from the spirit, the realm of spirits and ruh. At the time of that creation, at that stage of the creation, we were given the warning. We come to dunya and we start living this life in dunya, and we have been warned, and then we are reminded. That's why one of the roles of the prophet is to remind us. فذكر, remind. إنما أنت مذكر. You cannot control the people. لست عليهم بمسيطر. But you can remind them. And remind them of what? Remind them of certain things that they already know. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala already made the pact with us that we worship Him and we do not worship Shaitan. You might say, how do we worship Shaitan? How many people worship Shaitan? Worshipping is obedience. In fact, listening to someone in order to basically learn from them and follow their teachings, that itself is a kind of worshipping according to the Holy Quran and according to the ahadith of Ahlul Bayt salawatullah salamu alayhim, in a hadith that is narrated from Imam Baqir alayhi salam as well as Imam al-Askari alayhi salawat wa tahiyyat. He says, or they say, which their word is one, no matter which one of them, same lessons, same teachings. He says, Man asgha ila natiqin faqad abada. Whoever listens to somebody with the intention of learning and obedience or following their teachings, then they are worshiping them in a sense. If that person is reminding and teaching them about following Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are worshiping God. If they are teaching them to worship or to listen to shaitan or do satanic things, do devilish acts, then they are obeying and worshiping shaitan. Allah ta'budu shaitan innahu lakum aduwwun mubin. From the day of your creation of children of Adam, from the day of the creation of Adam and the beginning of the khilafah, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. From that point, shaitan had the intention of deceiving children of Adam and making sure that they do not make it to their final, to what is intended for them, to the gardens that are intended for them. From that day, he had his animosity, and we were warned. Allah ta'budu shaitan innahu lakum aduwwun mubin. He is clearly your enemy. Wa ana abuduni hada siratun mustaqim. That you worship me, you obey me. This is siratun mustaqim. And we keep on asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ihdina sirat al-mustaqim. What is sirat al-mustaqim? It is to be obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ta'ah. U'buduni means ati'uni. Worship me, obey me, whatever I say. Recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as your guide. He is your master. He is the one who created you and loves you and has mercy upon you and wants the best for you. Obey him. A loving father, a loving parent, and when we compare, it's not to say that it's the same level or anywhere near. Nonetheless, it brings the idea closer to our mind. A loving father says to his son, son, I love you. I want the best for you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, shaitan is your enemy and I want the best for you. I have made this deal with you for your sake. There's no benefit that comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from our obedience. There's no harm that comes to him from our disobedience or even sinful acts. None of that will affect him. For our best, he sent the messengers. For our best, he reminded us. for our best. He set the rules that he set for us, and he says, follow those. وَأَنَا اعْبُدُونِي هَذَا صِرَاطٌ مُسْتَقِيمٌ. This is the straight path. A path, in fact, is it's a great way of describing the life that we're in. The fact that it is a path tells us that this is not the final life. This is not the final stage. When you're on a journey, when you're on a path, you're on a journey. When you're on a journey, you're going somewhere. There is a destination. This is not the destination. Dunya is not the destination. Don't treat it as the destination. Imam Baqir alayhi salam narrates from Nabiullah Isa ala nabiyina wa alayhi salam. He says that he told his disciples, his people, he said to them, this dunya is a bridge. الدنيا قنطرة فاعبروها ولا تعمروها. Don't get stuck on it. Pass over it. Realize that this life is temporary. Realize that this is a journey. هذا صراط مستقيم. This is a path that you have to be taking, a journey that you have to be taken, and making sure that you're in the right direction. If you're on a journey and you want to reach a certain destination, especially if you're not very familiar with the journey, if you're not familiar with the road, you would focus. You would make sure that you are focused so that you don't lose your direction and end up lost. And the more, perhaps imagine a dark night and in a place that if you get lost, it could be very dangerous. There could be perhaps wild animals, there could be bandits or dangerous people, and you want to make it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you, you are on a dangerous road. There is a shaitan and you have a clear enemy. He is telling you there's a clear enemy out there waiting for you or fighting you. And I am showing you the clear path. هذا صراط مستقيم, that would help you make it to your destination. وأنا اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم ولقد أضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تعقلون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now reminds the people of previous nations. Jibal is comparing people to a mountain in the sense that they are so many. And some mufassirin, they said this refers to at least 10,000 or at least 1,000. Doesn't matter. So many people before you. Jibillan kathira. Groups of people that each of them were like a mountain. Nations before you. You witnessed them. Why don't you watch nations before you and what happened to them? Nations that were destroyed. Fir'aun, we read in Surah Al-Fajr. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, wal-Fajr wa-layalin ashr wal-Shaf'i wal-Watr wal-Layli idha yasr hal fi dhalika qasamun lidhi hijr. One group. Alam tara kayfa fa'ala rabbuka bi'ad. Another group. إرم ذات العماد. Then وفرعون ذي الأوتاد الذين طغوا في البلاد وفرعون ذي الأوتاد. Another nation. Fir'aun. Now, many of those nations we may not recognize. Yes, there is some of us may have traveled to different parts of the world and have seen the castles and the mansions. I remember as a child we went to the city of Baalbek in Lebanon, and these huge pillars that some, if you look up Baalbek in online, you'll see huge pillars these people built. And I was thinking, if this is the pillar, what was the roof like? What was the entire construction like? And it's destroyed. Now you go to Egypt, Fir'aun al-Awtad, you go and see, you still see the pyramids. Everybody knows of them, everybody talks about them. The pyramids that are still there, they built all this, and where is that nation? Where are the Fara'ina? Where are the Ayn al-Muluk wa Abna al-Muluk? Where are these kings or their children? Where are their children? you may say, well, there may be some politicians out there in the world, Allahu Alam, nonetheless, their kingdom is gone. That kingdom that they were in. وَلَقَدْ أَضَلَّ مِنْكُمْ جِبِلًّا كَثِيرًا أَفَلَمْ تَكُونُوا تَعْقِلُونَ. Where is your aql? Where is your intellect? Anybody looks at someone who's going down a certain path, and they see that they ended up hurting themselves. They ended up falling into a ditch. They ended up in a fire. In this dunya, the consequences of these nations were destruction. Why don't you watch them and learn? أَفَلَمْ تَكُونُوا تَعْقِلُونَ. And this is in fact referring to a dialogue in Akhirah. In other words, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, before we end up hearing it there, وَالْعَيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, and we become amongst those who are separated from the believers, and then it is said to us that did you not look at nations before you? وَلَقَدْ أَضَلَّ مِنْكُمْ جِبِلًّا كَثِيرًا أَفَلَمْ تَكُونُوا تَعْقِلُونَ. Where is your intellect? Before that is said to us, he is reminding us here, so that inshallah we are not amongst those who are ignorant of the reality of the journey that we're in, who are absent-minded and who are living life thinking that this is the final abode. Rather, we are preparing for our akhirah, and we are taking the ammunition and the provision that we need for the journey. We are not following shaitan, rather we are fighting him, and therefore we are using our intellect, our aql. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the opportunity to reflect on the journey of life and reflect on the journey of akhirah. That is, that this is in fact a stage and a step towards it. We ask him to make us amongst those who listen to what's said and follow what's best. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد. There are any questions? I can see some note. I don't know if it's a question. أحسن الله إليكم جميعا.